Hey everyone, my name is Michelle Anderson Benjamin, and I'm also known as the Fearless Warrior. I'm a mom, a daughter, a wife, a healthcare professional, and a healthcare taker, but I'm also a breast cancer superhero. In 2020, during a global pandemic, I was diagnosed with stage 1 triple negative breast cancer at the age of 36. From 2020 to now, I endured 15 rounds of aggressive chemotherapy, 6 emergency surgeries, um, removed my right breast, had COVID, and lost my hair, my eyebrows, and also closely to losing my sanity. What kept me focused and on task was my family, especially my children. I am a mother of a 15-year-old son named Harold and a 5-year-old daughter named Alsette. My village. My village supported me and stepped in when I couldn't and made sure that my kids were well taken care of while I focused on my health. But especially my father, Michael Anderson Sr. My father was the first man that showed me love. He taught me my worth. He instilled confidence and made me fearless and resilient. He was determined to show me as a young woman that I was important, that I was beautiful, and that I can be anything I wanted to be. Since the day I was born, my father has been present in my life. He was a retired police officer that worked at nights just to be available in the daytime, to be present at every school event, be at every teacher parent conference, and to be at every show and sports events I attended. My father made it possible for me to know the love of what a love a man can provide. But he didn't only tell me these things, he showed them to me. He did that by being present. He did that by showing me values and morals. He showed me from a young girl that I was worthy of anything. And he didn't talk the talk, he also walked it. My father also stepped in during my chemotherapy treatments and took care of my children. And I tell a story all the time. One of the hardest things, especially during a pandemic, was virtual learning. So imagine a 70-year-old man trying to assist a teenager with virtual learning. And my son, being a typical teenager, would rather be playing video games instead of on his Zoom calls. So my dad would call me every single day because my father didn't even know how to cut on a computer, and would say, Michelle, how this camera supposed to work? What class is he supposed to be doing? Although he had some challenges with adjusting, he made sure that he sat next to my son throughout every class to make sure that he did what he was supposed to do. My father wanted to make sure that I didn't have to worry about anything while I focused on my survival. My father lost his mom and his wife to cancer. So now, dealing with the fact that his baby girl was now diagnosed at 36, I can just imagine the heartbreak that he was going through. But one thing about my dad, he never showed his emotions. He always showed his strength. He never told me or displayed to me his depression, his worry. He always just showed up and said, what can I do? And as his daughter and being connected to him, I knew that there was more going on than I could see. It's August 2021. I popped up on my dad and surprised him because he started canceling appointments that me and him were supposed to meet up. We had engagements and, events that my children would have. And at the day of, he would always say he didn't feel well. He was sick. And I started to pay attention to the patterns. When I popped up on my dad, I was made aware that my dad was actually suffering at home in silence. His body was declining. He was going through congestive heart failure and multi-organ failure. And instead of putting himself first, he was doing what he always does, putting everyone else. At that moment, I forced my dad to go to the hospital. Kicking and screaming, he went. That was the beginning of the last 3 months that I would have my dad in the physical prep being on this earth. For 3 months, my dad was in the hospital, and every week he would have episodes of rapid responses. And for anyone that doesn't know what a rapid response is when a patient goes into cardiac arrest and doctors and nurses have to run into the room to retrieve them. This happened weekly with my dad because he had a device in his heart that regulated his heart that was already declining and only working on 70%. For those 3 months, I made sure that everyone in that hospital knew who I was, because my job as his daughter was not to be the woman that was currently going through breast cancer treatment. I put my journey on hold because I needed to be there for him without question, without hesitation. The caregiver needed to be taken care of, and I stepped up to the plate. Despite all the challenges I was dealing with, despite having still one breast at the time, no hair, my eyebrows were just starting to grow back. I'm also a healthcare professional, so I work from home. I would be at the hospital every single day with my laptop, but I made sure that everyone in that hospital knew who I was. They knew who I was. They knew that I was his daughter, and they knew that Mr. Anderson was more than just a patient. He was a person. Every person on his medical team, I knew by first name. Every person in his medical on his ward knew my face when I walked through the door, because I played no games when it came to my dad, the same way he played no games when it came to me. And on October 9th, 2021, my dad transitioned. And it was one of the hardest days that I've ever had to deal with in my entire life. I honestly believe that my dad was preparing me for this moment my entire life. Because although it was a moment of sorrow, I found superpowers within myself to be the strong woman that he always told me I could be. I made sure that my dad was comfortable. I made sure that his room the vibe was there. I had battery operated lights. He had a Bluetooth speaker. His entire room was filled with pictures of his family, so that he got to see family members every single day, even if they weren't present. And at 3:59, my dad took his last breath. For that hour of his last days on this earth, I played the Isley Brothers' Voyage to Atlantis. I held his hand, and I hugged him and whispered in his ear that it was okay, that I would be okay. And I think that's what my dad just needed to know, because I knew that my dad was holding on because he wanted to make sure that his baby girl was okay. So once he got that clarity, he didn't have to fight anymore. He didn't have to be strong. He could just go with God and not suffer anymore. Excuse me. Watching my father pass has been one of the hardest things that, I'm a woman that's been through every obstacle imagined. I've also am a person that has been everyone's supporter. I am the rock of my family. I am the strength of my village. And I used this opportunity to look at what was the lesson. What was God teaching me? I questioned a lot of things. Here I am going through breast cancer at 36. I'm still in my prime. Why is this happening to me? And that's when I realized that instead of questioning the why, I had to recite the why not. Why not? Because this was God telling me, this is your purpose, Michelle. Your purpose is to be a difference for others, not only for yourself. Your father was put here to show you your worth. Your father was put here to instill your greatness. Now it's time for you to step out and be the person and the queen and the young, resilient individual that your father and I have always seen in you since you was born. I'm truly thankful for being a product of a king. My dad, Mr. Anderson, known by many names, Pop Pop, Gramps, Uncle Butch, um, was one of a kind, a rare breed. He was an OG in the game. Everyone loved him. He was the guy on the block that all his neighbors knew. He was the guy that went in the neighborhood that every store owner knew by first name and he knew them. He was well respected, not because of just him being Mr. Anderson, because he treated people with respect no matter who they were. My dad spoke to everyone, and he taught me that. He taught me those values. He taught me the importance of treating people with respect and empathy, to not be judgmental. And he didn't just speak it, he lived it. At my dad's funeral, I had the honor of meeting his previous co-workers in the police department. Mind you, my father retired in 1994. And my father's fellow officers showed up to pay homage to the man named Michael Anderson. There are so many things and people that have showed up to pay homage to the man Michael Anderson simply because he was a true individual that loved from the heart. One of the things that my father was also known for is just his saying. So my father would always say to me, Michelle, don't tell me you're going to try. Just do. Stop making excuses for what you know you're capable of. Always remember to put yourself first. Always remember to treat others how you want to be treated. Remember that your family is your core. They are the most important people to you. And no one else outside of that circle matters if your family and your household is not well put together. I take all of those quotes and stories and lessons, and I also instill those things in my children, but I also live by them as well. Because it's an honor to continue the legacy of Michael Anderson. So in closing, I want to leave you with some gems. Cherish every moment given. Don't take time for granted because life can change in a matter of seconds. In 2020, I didn't think I would wake up with my breast leaking blood. I didn't think that when I went to the hospital, doctors were quickly saying that I needed to have a mammogram. I didn't believe that a week later I would be told that I had breast cancer. I didn't think my story would be that at 36, I had to remove my right breast, that I had to go through 15 rounds of aggressive chemo and lose my hair, that I had to fight for my life, especially during a time when the world was in chaos. But that happened. I didn't use that time as many times I wanted to tap out. I looked at my kids, I looked at my family, and I looked at my dad and my mom. And I realized that they groomed me to be stronger than that. They taught me the importance of fighting till the wheels fall off. They showed me to be fearless. So right now it was showtime. It was showtime for me to show them that everything that they taught me really did resonate. Educate yourself about your own health, but also your family's. Be an advocate. One of the most important things that helped me get through this journey was the fact that I educated myself on breast cancer once I found out I had it. I knew who my medical team was. I researched them. And if they weren't a good fit, they weren't part of my team. any treatment that the doctor presented, we had a discussion about. I made sure that they fully understand as a woman of color, I needed to have a treatment plan that was for me, that was designed for me. With my dad, every medical person on his team knew who I was, and I knew who they were. If things didn't sound right, I questioned them. I advocated for him. When surgeries and different procedures were presented, I would ask them, so what is the percentage of this actually working? What are the pros and cons? And most importantly, if this was your family member in the bed, would you still perform this procedure? I wanted to always remind people, and it's very important that you always remind people that we are people first. Doesn't matter what hats we wear, what positions we claim to have, what jobs or titles we have. We are people first. So when you treat me, you have to treat me with respect. Is my time almost up?
Just about. I think you're a little bit over, but that's okay.
Can
I know you have to get your, go ahead. No. Okay. Go ahead and say it.
So in closing, I just want to remind everyone to walk in your purpose. I could be contacted at thefearlesswarrior36.com, on IG, Fearless Warrior Project LLC. And it was a pleasure and an honor to share my story with you guys. I hope you guys got some good gems from it. And I'm the Fearless Warrior, and I yield my mic.
Drop the mic, Michelle. Thank you so much. You know, that's what I said. We have so much our heart before, right? And I'm telling you, that is a beautiful story. You know, and I see it, you still feel it in your heart, right? So that's okay, because guess what? The more you tell your story, the more you receive your healing.
Yep. So and today marks 6 months of my dad's passing. So today was pretty hard. It was hard to come on this stage and speak. It really was. But I'm truly thankful for this opportunity, because this is my dad's name continues to live.
There you go, right there. That is so beautiful. And guess what? Just by you sharing your story in the spirit realm, your father heard it, and I'm sure he is pleased with you today. So listen, you walk out with your head high. You know what I'm saying? Because things are going to happen, but you got to keep moving. And your father, believe it or not, in the spirit realm, he's smiling at you. He's smiling down on you. So we
don't make me cry now. I've been holding back these tears this whole time. Okay. I'm trying to be a G on this stage. I'm trying to be a G.
and just know those are tears of joy, right? You're releasing, you know, everything that you've been holding in. So this was the perfect platform for you to come on and share. So thank you so much, Michelle. You keep doing what you're doing. The things that you have going on, your father is pleased with you. It is well with him. And just know that. And know that we're here if you need anything as well. God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
You're welcome.